Hey guys, this is Trent. I know that it's been quite some time since my last video, and I do apologize for the delay, but it's just been a very hectic schedule for me between my full-time job and between going to school, and I just want to give you guys some great news. Recently, I took the final exams for both of my classes in the first term of my schooling, and I am pleased to announce that I've received A's in both classes. So because I have these two A's in two of my first classes, my cumulative GPA is currently 4.0, and I hope to maintain that throughout the rest of my time at ECPI. As you guys know, I've spent the last week and a half or so testing out this brand new Nokia E51 device sent to me by World Nokia. A great opportunity for me to test out a new device without having to spend any money or use a credit card, and I am once again just grateful that they've decided to consider me for such an opportunity. But here is my impression of the Nokia E51. Now, during my first week of using this device, there are a number of things that I really grew to love about it. You know, first off, it's very slim, it's very small, you know, in comparison with the huge brick house of an E90, and it's very easy to carry, you know, especially in your pocket. I finally realized what it felt like to not have a belt clip holster on my waist 24/7 to hold my E90 or any other bulky smartphone. So it felt really nice to walk around without having to wear a belt clip. I could just take this early in the morning, leave out of the house, slip it into my pocket, and be on my way. Reception was also as great as the E90. No difference in reception call quality at all. Volume was pretty much ample and plenty when it came to hearing people on voice calls, and the speaker itself is plenty loud. Even though it's a mono speaker, it's loud and it's clear to the point where you can understand voicemails as they're being played out loud. But once again, you know, it's very small, very compact, very convenient to use, and it also gave me an opportunity to get used to T9 instead of having to rely on a QWERTY keypad like on my E90. T9 took me a while to get used to, but then after I got the hang of it, I found myself composing, you know, all of my text messages through T9. And I have to say that it's a very convenient way to type out messages. Every now and then I sort of took time out to construct very short emails with T9, but overall I pretty much prefer the use of my QWERTY keypad on the E90. So I hate to say it, but the E51 eventually, it's just not for me because I would much rather have a full-sized QWERTY keypad versus a numerical keypad. In a positive way, the E51, even though it's not for me, it at least gave me a sense of just how useful T9 could be for me when I used the E90 in closed mode. You know, instead of having to open up the QWERTY keypad all the time 24/7, I can instead take some time out to rely on the numerical keypad of on the outside of my E90 to compose quick messages or short emails or what have you. Now we're going to have to unfortunately move on to the negatives that I came across in using this device. The screen is pretty much similar in size to the outer screen of the E90, if not exactly the same. Now, using a screen this size, it's pretty much okay when it comes to using, you know, like regular phone duties, you know, as far as answering phone calls or answering text messages on the fly. But the one thing I got used to on my E90 was the wide screen, especially when it came to surfing the web or looking up different features within the phone itself. This screen for me is pretty much too small. It's a lot smaller than what I would want in my regular everyday device. Another sad point about the camera is that it does not have an LED flash and it does not have autofocus. The performance of the camera, you know, considering that it's only a 2 megapixel, it pretty much reflects the exact same quality as the E61i. The camera itself is basically good for general snapshots, just I mean, if you're not looking to print it out on photo paper, or if you're not looking to blow it up on your computer, you're pretty much good to go with this low quality camera. One limitation that I found with the E51 is that even though it has the Quick Office suite pre-installed on the phone, it's only in read-only format. Even though it has the Quick Office suite pre-installed, it is only good for viewing documents. You cannot create documents or spreadsheets or a PowerPoint presentation. The only thing that the current version of Quick Office on the E51 is good for is viewing your information. As far as creating anything, you have to go through and pay a premium to get an upgrade in order to be able to create data on your E51. There is no GPS built into the phone at all. So GPS, it's not exactly a primary feature that I look for in any of my phones, but at the same time, if you're in a situation where you just happen to need GPS, it's a great thing to have, especially if you run Google Maps on your smartphones. Another negative point is the external speaker on the E51. In comparison to the E90, which has stereo speakers, the E51 only has one mono speaker on the outside. Not a big deal unless you're into playing music out loud on your phone. Once again, not a deal breaker. A speaker is a speaker. As long as you can hear your stuff, you should pretty much be good to go. One more bad point I have to make about the E51 are the outer buttons. Okay, on the side here, if you can see it, you have the rocker buttons for your volume, and in the middle right there you have your voice command button for voice dialing. On the top here you have your power button, okay? And then on the other side you have your button for the voice recorder. Now these outer buttons all happen to be coated in black rubber, which is fine, but the main downside to these outer buttons is that when you press down to activate the control, it's not exactly like pressing down on the numerical keypad. Not at all. You pretty much have to break your fingertip off in order to get any sort of feedback when pressing down on these rubber buttons. For instance, when you press down on the power button, I pretty much have to force my finger hard onto the device in order to get any sort of feedback, and there's no excuse for that. It came to the point where I felt like I was going to bend the phone in half when I was pressing onto the volume rocker keys. Now the only way to get around this situation is to use a fingernail. Yeah, unfortunately, yeah. Everything else is great. Call quality is great, reception is great. The portability of this light device, it's small, compact, extremely light. It's very nice to slip into your pocket, hardly at all noticeable. That's pretty much it. Having the E51 for as long as I did, it was good while it lasted, but I eventually got tired of the T9 and I just had to go back to my E90, unfortunately. And if you take a look at my blog, I pretty much said my 2 cents about the whole experience. So back to the E90 I am from the E51. It's been a great experience, and I look forward to testing out more gadgets in the future for Warm World Nokia. And then I'll be sure to post up the website as well, just so that you guys have the updated web address for this blog site. Can I talk about next? Oh, an announcement about the contest. There is no winner for the contest. Unfortunately, even though I gave out a deadline for video responses, it turns out that the Nokia N810 Internet tablet isn't exactly a hot item that everybody wants to have. So I pretty much sat back, waited for some video responses, and all I got were crickets. No response, no nothing. Since I didn't get a video response from anybody for the contest, it pretty much was over and done with, when April 5th came around the corner.